award-winning journalist and a correspondent for Dateline NBC. His new book is called To Catch a Predator, Protecting Your Kids from Online Enemies Already in Your Home. Please welcome our friend Chris Hansen. First of all, obviously, not a hilarious subject we're talking about here, but still, I'll make inappropriate jokes.
That's your job.
That's what I do. First of all, I want to mention, when you started this series, people didn't know what to expect, and it was kind of a phenomenon. You didn't know that you'd catch, I think, since the beginning of the show, you've caught 250 possible potential child predators.
That's exactly right.
First of all, fantastic service. That's great. But second of all, did you...
Conan, I had no idea when we started that this would still be going on 2.5 years later. I mean, I thought we'd do it once or twice, and we'd get to the point where, we'd have video of me pacing in a kitchen, like the Maytag repairman.
Right,
nothing to do.
Because no one's showing up, right.
Clearly, that's not the case.
Yeah, and of all of the experiences that you've had meeting these different people on camera, what was the most memorable? Do you have one that sticks out in your mind?
Well, twice now we've had guys who've walked in naked. The most recent happened in Fort Myers, Florida. Swear to God.
I saw one of those shows, naked. Yeah.
So this guy is chatting online with the decoy, and he wants this girl to do this bizarre sex act that involves whipped cream and a cat. And,
right.
And she sort of plays along with the thing.
Right.
And says, well, I'll consider it if you walk in naked. So we didn't think he was really going to do it.
Right.
But there we are, we're all set up, and I'm watching on the monitor, and this guy peels off his clothes.
Yeah.
And he's coming around the corner at a high rate of speed. And he's coming right for the room where we're all set up.
Sure.
And the decoy's back with me, and I go for the door, and he's got his hand on the other side, and I don't know who was more shocked when the door opened. I said, why don't you grab that, blanket, wrap it around you, and we'll have a little chat about all this.
Okay.
Which I was never taught in journalism school, to keep a blanket or a towel nearby in case a naked man walked in who wanted to interview,
But Max has since apologized. Sorry. He'll get me back. What I don't understand is, and we've talked about this,
right.
One of the things that fascinates me the most is why these people, a large majority of them, when they realize it's Chris Hansen, it's Dateline, I'm caught, that they sit down and they talk to you for a long time. And they're sitting there and they're going on and on and on and on, when you'd think that, some of them run away, but you'd think 99.9% of them would run away.
The vast majority stay in chat. And I think it's for two reasons. One, I think some of these guys are actually relieved. I think they've known they've had problems online.
They're happy to be caught.
Some of these interviews turn into virtual therapy sessions. These guys go on for 40 minutes and talk about their issues. And I honestly think some of these guys have seen the show, they know the routine, and they know when they walk outside that the police are there and they're going to get handcuffs put on. So why not hang out with Chris Hansen for a few more minutes and have a cookie and a little something to drink, and, the inevitable is not good.
Let's talk about the cookies. You serve homemade cookies. You have them there, and what shocks me is these people walk in, you say, hi, I'm Chris Hansen, this is Dateline, you're caught, you're on national television, a sexual predator, and they sit down, they're kind of despondent and depressed, and they start eating these cookies, and they really seem to enjoy the cookies.
They're good cookies.
It's almost like an ad for the cookies. Well, so good, even a caught sexual predator will pause to enjoy one.
I think,
I don't know who's making it.
I think it's out of a nervous reaction. I mean, they really don't know what to do. They're still trying to figure it out. Is this the mad dad? Is this the police?
Sure.
Am I on television? And out of nervousness, I think sometimes they pick up whatever snack is there, a cookie or a chip or whatever, and start munching on it.
I think a lot of us probably who watch it have had a similar thought, which is I'm always thinking about, because I work in television, I think if I was doing that job, how safe would I be? Because you don't know who's showing up.
Exactly.
You can't frisk them beforehand or anything, because you give away then with the sting operation.
Right.
So people are walking in who are obviously disturbed. You don't, there doesn't seem to be anybody in the room with you.
Well, we have a detailed security protocol that we have in place, and it's tailored to each individual location. Our security guys go through, they do things like, take the knives out of the kitchen, the glassware is actually plastic, and a lot more goes into it than that. But I feel comfortable, and I feel that the crew is safe in these.
And I should mention, I guess one of the gentlemen that works here,
Knight.
security, Ron Knight, does our security as well, and he's fantastic.
Wouldn't do it without him.
Yeah, yeah. So, and you also told me once, when you were helping us out with an Emmy shoot that we were doing, a piece for that, you told me something interesting, which is you always keep the kitchen table, the kitchen island between you and the person you're talking to.
Sort of like your desk here between you and your guest, It just,
I don't really know you that well. We didn't frisk you before you came out here, Chris. I don't know what you could be up to.
I did have some cookies in the green room.
Yeah, that's how we keep people here. They're like, this isn't Regis? Oh, good cookie.
Yeah. Well, we do. We always have a barrier there for that reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an extra layer of protection.
Sure. One last thing is, what have you learned? What tips? I mean, obviously there's a lot people can learn from this book, but what would you tell people right now is a good way to protect their kids in this current environment?
I've talked to some of the smartest psychiatrists, therapists, law enforcement officers, child advocates. I've looked into the eyes of 250 of these guys. So I've distilled all that information into 20 things parents can do to keep their kids safe online. Not just a list, but ways to initiate a discussion. And I think the first one is a very simple one, and that is limit the amount of time your kid is on the internet.
Right.
If the kid's only on the internet 2 hours a day,
right,
they'll get down to the business of IMing their friends, downloading music, and checking the movie schedule for Saturday.
Right.
And that's less time for loitering in a chat room in an area
where trouble can start.
Exactly, where they're a magnet.
Another piece of advice that you've brought up in the book, and I've heard you say before, which is really smart, is the computer should be in a public, in an open area.
Right. And you shouldn't be afraid to go look over the shoulder. And something else that I found interesting.
But when do I watch porn, is my question.
So that brings up an interesting topic.
Just curious. I need my porn time or I can't function at my job.
Yeah, a lot of people use these social networking sites and chats to meet really nice people on the internet. But if Johnny comes home and mom or dad is up till all hours of the night talking to strangers on the internet, what do you think Johnny's going to do?
Right.
You have to lead by example.
Lead by example. All right, To Catch a Predator. Protecting your kids from online enemies already in your home is in stores now, and Dateline NBC airs Tuesdays and Saturdays at 8 and Sundays at 7. Great job, Chris.
Thank
and
you,
thanks for being here.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Chris Hansen will be right back. Daughtry is here. Stick around.